You know, there's a lot of people who criticize Christians for quoting the Bible. They say things like, "Oh, you Christians are so ignorant. You just quote the Bible." Well, let me ask you this. If someone quotes the Bible and they get the interpretation wrong, whose fault is that? Is it God's fault, or is it the person's fault who's quoting the Bible? Now, in Genesis chapter 41, we see an example of this. In verse 16, it says, God gives the interpretation. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, let me read the context. Pharaoh had a dream, and he called for all the wise men and all the sorcerers, and none of them could interpret his dream. So then Pharaoh's servants told him, "Look, there's a Hebrew slave in prison who interprets dreams. If you'll bring him in, maybe he can help." So Pharaoh did. He brought Joseph in, and Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dream. And in the midst of the interpretation, Joseph said, "God gave me the interpretation." So who gets the credit for the interpretation, God or Joseph? The answer is both. God gave Joseph the ability to interpret the dream, but Joseph still had to speak it out. So God gives the interpretation, but we have to speak the interpretation. We don't just sit around and wait for God to speak. We have to be active in our faith.